Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, July 2nd, 2024 regular meeting of the Monroe Local School District Board of Education. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter.
Present.
Mrs. Hagedorn.
Present.
Mr. Leeds.
Here.
Mr. Fulham.
Here.
And I'll make note that Mr. Grant is absent with previous notice.
All right, if everyone will please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn.
Aye.
Mr. Fulham.
Aye.
Mr. Leeds.
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye, motion carried. Section 2, Board Liaison and Committee Updates. 2.1, Legislative.
Nothing at this time. Everybody's on vacation or not on vacation, on recess until after the election.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leeds. 2.2, Butler Tech.
Thank you, Mr. President, Ms. Vice President, members of the board. I don't have much of an update today. I do want to let you know that we received our final allotment of funding for the aviation program at Middletown. This was a grant in partnership with Ready Cincinnati, City of Middletown. It's through the OSIP grant program, which is the Ohio Site Inventory Program. Got to have an acronym. So planning, design is in process right now, and everything's going from there. Last week was the Ohio ACTE conference. I was on vacation, so I did not get to attend. But from everything I heard, it went well. We did have 2 teachers that received Career Tech Teacher of the Year for the state of Ohio for secondary and for post-secondary, both from Butler Tech. So say congratulations to them. We're doing the same thing you guys are. Our parking lot probably looks like yours. A lot of constructions and upgrades getting ready for school year next year. So that's really all I have right now. Any questions from anybody?
Yeah, I got a question for you, Brad. What about the pasture out here? Are you getting ready to fence that or anything?
Oh, yeah. So we have a committee meeting next week to discuss that. I don't have an update on that. I know that there is talk about that. So can I get back with you on that?
Yeah. If you need a mowed or something, let me know.
Okay. I mean, I got a Briggs and Stratton as well. I'll come join you. It is self-propelled.
You can do the edges.
I can do the edges.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Guido.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, moving on. 2.3, Finance.
We have not had a finance committee meeting, but we are scheduled for one next month before our next board meeting.
All right.
August 22nd at
August
4:30.
8:22 and 4:30. All right. Thank you very much. 2.4, Student Achievement.
Student achievement. So at this time, there is no student achievement due to everybody enjoying the holidays, or not the holidays.
It's like one
the
big
summer.
holiday.
It's like one big holiday, the summer time off. So
That makes sense.
yes.
All right, moving on. Section 3, Communications. 3.1, Comments from the public. Seeing none, we will move on to 3.2, Superintendent Update.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. I just want to give a quick update on our bond issue that is going to be on the November ballot. Last Monday, our flyer went out. We worked a long time on making sure that that was as clear as possible. It is It's a great message to our community. We were trying to get it out there to be as simple as possible so they could understand. We have had some positive feedback from that. In addition to that, it went out on social media as well. It was actually very quiet on social media. We'll continue to get that out and repost it on social media. The little traffic it did have was mostly, hey, where do I get a sign? So that, I thought that was positive. And obviously the News Journal ran a story. They did use the term tax hike, which was not what I wanted them to put in the story because that's not accurate. But if you did read the entire article, the information of the article was correct, but they did use that term, which is incorrect. So as we, our message again is that, it will not be a tax increase to our taxpayers, and it will provide funding along with the state to fund that new high school. So we're going to continue to just get the accurate information out. We've got a great story to tell. We are going to be, I'm already begun setting up informational meetings with different community groups that will kick off here probably mid-August. And I sent an initial list of where I am to the board earlier today. I'm also open to, if you guys think of other groups or if other groups reach out and invite me to come, me or Mrs. Moore and myself, to come speak, we are more than happy to get the information out to anybody that is willing to have us. So we'll also offer a large community group that anyone in the community can come closer to the actual election date to, again, get the information out. We'll do that in the auditorium. We'll also do it, we'll do a Facebook Live at some point so people can send in questions that way for people that can't make it to the meeting. I also, Thomas Hall reached out to us. He reached out to, I think, me and to you as well, Mr. Carpenter. Right now, there are not a lot of politicians that are supportive of public schools, but he has actually been very supportive of public schools. I think as a Madison grad, he understands the value of public education, and he has been actually very supportive of us. And I'm actually meeting with him on Wednesday because he wants to know what he can do to help, and he'd like to get a message out. And he's got quite a few followers, and he's got a very good reputation. So I will be meeting with him on Wednesday of this week. Does anybody have any questions about bond issue at this point? So, okay. Mrs. Moore and I have talked about I think the last meeting we talked about pay to play and student fees, that we were going to, take a look at some things. We are, my recommendation is that we are going to extend the freeze on the pay to play for the remainder of the school year. We were already going to do it through the fall sports because we picked it up after fall sports. And my recommendation is for the remainder of this year, we do not charge for pay to play. And then that will give Mrs. Moore and myself time to sit down and look at not only that, but student fees to see if we can, what we can do to make it easier for parents and more affordable. And we'll have a recommendation for the board in the spring moving forward with both of those. So. Then the last couple things I wanted to talk about is some ongoing projects that seem to never end. The driveway, Jesse talked to me earlier today. They have everything they need, and the ODOT, the county, and the city have all given the green light to continue with things, but we're still waiting on everything from them, and we will continue to push them. Again, this is, in my opinion, not dependent on the bond issue. This is something we need, whether whatever happens or not. We're going to move forward with that second drive. The other project that I think that is not contingent necessarily on the bond issue is we've talked about the jail gym, creating additional classroom space with that, just because as we build, a new building and we transition the primary over here, we're going to need space to as we grow, we're going to need more space. It'll also be good transitional space until a new building is built, if it were to pass. If it weren't to pass, it would, as we've said, that would be some additional space with, and my recommendation would be to do some stopgaps such as modular classrooms and that. So with the jail gym, we are actually going to start here in the next month working with getting plans with the architects and actually looking out for a CMR to start that probably in the spring. So it's probably about a 12-month project. And so I want to give the youth groups that use that gym plenty of notice so they know that, there is going to be a gap there where that gym is not available. Is there anything I missed on that, Jesse? I think using a CMR for that project gives us a couple great advantages. One, I think that we will get some very, very good pricing with construction companies knowing that there's a much larger project down the road. And two, it gives us a chance to try somebody out. If we think this is who we like and we would potentially use them for a building and we get into this small project and it's a disaster, that gives us some really, I'd much rather struggle through a small project than a large project. So I think that those are two good things that as we look for that project that we have to our advantage. And then the last thing in my update is that 3 weeks from today, the teachers will be in the building. So summer has really flown by as it always does. We've been busy, a lot of new staff that we're excited about, and I'm always excited to see the kids back at school. I know they don't always dread it, or they don't always look forward to, but once they're here, I think that they enjoy it with all the fall activities kicking off, so. Any questions?
Yep. On the jail gym.
Yes.
Is that going to debit, is that going to remove floor space from our current building if we pursue that now?
It
I know
will.
we talked about that.
It will,
before
yes. It
in the
will, because of the building the high school, and again, what we found out is the state is going to give us this amount of money, and it doesn't matter what we do. That's the largest amount we're getting, that 25 million and some change from the state. Doesn't matter what we do in the meantime. So I have verified that will not. So
That's good news.
Yeah, my recommendation is we start working on that so we can get that done sooner than later. So.
And then the plan would be to start when school's out at the end of the school year? 25?
Maybe even in the spring
spring?
of 25.
Oh,
Once
okay.
they get the main use of that gym, to be honest, we use it for one class during the school day,
Okay.
and then it's used for youth sports from basically the time school's out till 10 p.m. But once the winter sports are over, it's just it's a backup for softball and baseball for rain dates, and so I've already worked with Mr. Silverman. He's working on a plan B for that if we were to have that. So.
Okay. I'm good.
Good. In the near future, doesn't have to be next month, can we get a idea of what the plans are for staging stuff for the new school? For, for the contractors to come in and the trucks and all that kind of stuff, and where we're going to put it?
Like where they're going to put it?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
when this building was built, it was all over this property. And,
I don't know off the top of my head. I can't share that. I know that they're used to working around existing school buildings, that they would, figure something out where it's not interfering with our school traffic or our playgrounds or
Yeah.
anything else. So.
Yeah.
But I can get some details on
The
that.
most recent example would be the Natural Science Center build, and when Skanska and Butler Tech Team was ready, we gave them times that they could not be running trucks in and out.
Yeah.
So they did, there was one time in the whole project where they ran a semi-truck out. I called the project manager, he was on the guy, and their subs, and it was, they're used to that. I think, so I don't have as, I mean, from that experience, it was a pretty sizable building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I felt like Skanska could reach.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so we know, I mean, you
Yep.
know.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Buskirk. All right, moving along to Section 4, Treasurer's Consent Agenda. May I get a motion to approve the Treasurer's Consent Agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Mrs. Moore.
So our new consent agenda, I have items 4.1 to 4.3. They're run-of-the-mill, approval of minutes, the bond fund report, the monthly treasurer's report, and 4.4, acceptance of donations. The only comments that I have is that our monthly report shows us ending with a general fund cash balance at $41.08 million, which is a bit better than expected in our May forecast. But we will be doing a deeper dive into how we ended the year and the comparisons at our August Finance Committee meeting, and then we'll report that back to you during our August meeting.
Good.
And thank you to those who donated
Yes,
for the
absolutely.
donations
Yes.
list.
And I have to ask, is all the money where it's supposed to be?
We believe that all the money is where it's supposed to be at this time.
Any questions?
Nope.
All right. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye, motion carried. Section 5, Superintendent Personnel Consent Agenda. May I get a motion to approve the Superintendent Personnel Consent Agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Mr. Buskirk.
It is, the personnel section is 5.1 through 5.6. It is pretty standard resignations, new employees, a couple renewals of contracts, and some stipends for paraprofessionals and AP placements. And we do have a couple new teachers, so
I know.
you get your
Gotta
pens
my pen.
out. Oh, I get them out of the thing.
All right, are there any questions? All right, with no questions, Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. Invite you guys up.
Chair Moore.
Is this your good side? Which is the good side? Yeah.
You guys need to get right in the middle. Keep the place on. And look at that, we're even.
Okay. All right. Quick and painless. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. Got it. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. Moving right along to Section 6, Superintendent Other Business Consent Agenda. May I get a motion to approve Section 6 as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Mr. Buskirk.
It is section 6.1 through 6.6. These are all just annual contracts that are renewals. There is nothing new. We do have a few new things, but those are in section 7, so.
Excellent. Any questions?
No?
With no questions, Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Section 7, Superintendent Other Business. Mr. Buskirk.
It is my recommendation to approve the agreement with MCS and Associates for pre-bond services.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Are there any questions?
They actually cut this back considerably because between now and November, there's not nearly as much for them to be working on as when we were preparing, when we thought that for ELP that we were going to be doing. So it's less than half of what we were until
It's fantastic.
That's
after
good news.
November. Yes. Doesn't happen very often these
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
All right. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. 7.2.
It's recommended to approve the paving project at the primary building. It's in the rear parking lot for the drop-off area. We've patched as much as we can, and this will definitely get us through for the next, however many years that we're going to need it, but it was definitely needed, so.
Well, this is why AJ got that four-wheel drive, so he could drive that parking lot.
Yeah, I'm so excited because I got a kindergartner next year, so nice fresh pavement's gonna be great.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to start it next Wednesday, the 24th, and it'll be done by the 30th, so plenty of time before school starts,
Okay.
so.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Any questions? All right, Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Item 7.3.
It's recommended to approve the bid for the concrete sidewalk at main campus with Liberty Services.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Mrs. Hagedorn. Can I get a
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Where's this going?
This is going to be a couple of you will be very excited. This is going to be between the baseball, it'll connect the baseball diamond to the
Stadium.
football stadium.
So go past the
On the
tennis
right side to keep people from parking on that side, and I actually met with Mr. Silverman today about additional signage as well to, really prevent that from getting clogged up, but.
We have benches right there for the tennis courts, don't we? Do we have no, not on
No,
the side.
they're closer to the tennis courts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how soon will this be completed?
This will be, they're prepping this week and they're pouring the 29th. So it'll be before
Sweet.
the first fall sport activity.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, I am as well.
I'm not
I think
excited
that'd be
at
great.
all.
And the big thing to point out is it's a safety concern.
Yes, 100%.
We've got a lot of people, especially on a busy Friday night, traveling. And I know this is something we've definitely talked about a lot, and I'm glad to see this coming to fruition because I think it'll A, look nicer, but B, more importantly, be a good way for people to travel to and from the stadium and events and everything else. So, and preventing the parking that a lot of cars I've seen park very creatively on
Yep.
that side that probably bottomed out more times than not. So,
I personally like the double stack.
Yeah.
I like that approach. That one's fun.
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'd love to see, maybe like a walk up, something about walking up there, like I don't know if we can, I don't want to spray paint the thing right off the bat or something, but you know what I mean? Like something cool about it to make it more than just a sidewalk maybe in the future, just something for you and Eric to talk about and consider.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
With two concrete companies in our district, Ernst & Ernst, did they give a bid or Baker?
I'd have to ask Jesse, but yes, they went out and got numerous bids, and this one was by far it was almost 10,000 less than the next one. so.
Yeah, I just wondered if they bid. I mean, if they.
We advertised it, so anybody could put a bid in, so.
That's something that we can do, we should start doing, I think, for the new building to take for like Ernst. Say, hey, we need some help. Can you cut us a deal on concrete or something?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent.
Any other questions? All right, Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Item 7.4.
It's recommended to approve the cafeteria floor labor and material, the primary building.
May I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Any questions?
This is resurfacing the entire cafeteria?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
good. Needed it
Yep.
badly.
Yep. They did, again, you don't want to put too much money in because it's not going to be there, but we couldn't patch it anymore. It's time.
It was
so.
a mess.
Yep.
Good.
All right, Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye, motion carried. Thank you, Ms. Buskirk. All right, Section 8, comments from the board. Mr. Leeds.
Don't have too many comments. Of course, we're getting ready for another school year, which is great. Got a question for you. Is there any water in that over to the girls' baseball field, or where that could be water or anything?
The grass?
Softball field.
Softball
Does it
field?
mean the grass area?
Well, and put it on the diamond, when it's dusty and stuff,
Yeah.
just to kind of,
I think they have a hose over there,
I
don't
think
they?
so. I'm pretty sure.
They almost have to, don't you?
I don't know. I just
We'll have to
wondered.
check with Tim.
I don't know.
I'll have to check on that one.
I thought you meant like running water for like,
No, just, and then the other thing is to keep in mind when we're moving dirt, if you will, from the new building, we can keep that here instead of having somebody haul it off. You can put it over here on the north side, spread it out, maybe make some more practice fields.
Yep.
Other than that,
Idea.
until we get going here, it's good. Drop the flag. That's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leeds. Mr. Fulham?
summer edition.
Uh-oh.
High fives from around the hive. High fives to our district staff on making some much-needed improvements to our facilities this summer. I'm excited to hear that the primary school gymnasium floor refinish is officially underway, as well as our main campus roof repairs and other great things that we just talked about. High fives to all the teachers, coaches, and staff who continue to support our students throughout the summer in preparation for the upcoming school year. There are many activities going on behind the scenes, and lots of time is put toward practices, clinics, scheduling, camps, and tutoring to ensure that our students have a fast start to the 24-25 school year. And high five to the Monroe cheerleading program, who recently attended UCA cheer camp at Ohio Northern University. The junior high, junior varsity, and varsity squads represented our district yet again in a positive way. Individuals and teams were awarded several top accolades, including 8 first-place trophies, top team gold superior ribbon for varsity's camp dance, 5 blue superior ribbons for cheer and dance evaluations, 15 All-Americans, 8 pennant forward recipients, 2 dancing divas, 9 jump-off participants and 3 finalists, the Leadership Award, and finally, the program was awarded the most coveted UCA Top Banana Award for the 3rd consecutive year. Congratulations to all who participated and competed at a high level.
Good.
Nice.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Thanks.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
I would just like to, I don't really have too much to say. It's kind of fun to be up here at the school in the evenings to watch all the camps and all the kids practicing. And kudos to the cross-country runners that are out there running in this heat. I can't imagine. So keep it up, and I'm looking forward to the fall.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Yeah, not much to say. I do want to say, if you have nothing going on August 10th, the boys soccer team is
Here we
scrimmaging
go.
Moeller High School. So I cannot wait to wear my blue and gold and sit right in the 50-yard line and cheer on my team.
Where they at? Where they gonna play?
I think they play here at the high school. I'll double check. I'll get back to you, Tom.
Make sure of that.
Because we want to sit on the other side,
Exactly.
give him all the.
What?
I didn't want to say that.
But
Throw
no,
popcorn in.
Yeah.
I think it's really great for the team to be playing Moeller. I mean, that
a big
Moeller
deal.
team lost one game last year, and it was a state.
Oh,
final.
don't brag about it. Come on.
So, it gives our boys a good opportunity to play against really good competition, and that's always good for our guys too.
You
So,
bring the A team or what?
I mean, it's Moeller. They always gonna bring the A team.
No, they don't.
What do they call the B team, St. X?
No, Elder. St. X doesn't even count.
Oh, jeez.
All right. But aside from that, I have nothing else to say because I think I've said it all. But with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:31.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Third.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Mrs. Moore, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter.
Aye. Motion carried. Good night, everyone.
I did.
Guys, come on, I was like, what's the record, like 17 minutes? I'm like, come on, Robert.
I know, I got a little windy, I'm sorry.
I knew I had a lot going on too. I'm like,
I was thinking that when Brett was talking.
I
I
also
was like, Brett,
told-
what are you doing here?
I told all the directors to stay away. I'm like,
This
it's
was
short
the time to
meeting,
beat
it's
it.
July. Jesse just couldn't help himself. So.